Welcome to Homework Lib.
Over here we're given the point xy, which is going to have a polar representation corresponding to 7.81, pi over 8 radians. What this means is that the distance from the origin to the point is going to be equal to 7.81, and that the angle theta with respect to the origin is going to be equal to pi over 8 radians. So with this information, what we want to know is what is going to be the polar angle of the minus x y point. So now, in order to know the polar angle, what you need to identify is that the angle that we're going to have over here is going to be the same angle theta. You can apply arguments regarding the lines that we are drawing here, but we can look at it in a very mathematical way. Let's look at both of these triangles. And what you're going to realize is that for this point that is x comma y, what happens is that the vertical distance corresponds to y, and that the horizontal distance with respect to the origin corresponds to x. On the other triangle, we're going to have the same situation. In this case, this is going to be the minus x comma y triangle, and we're going to have the same thing, x and y. The only thing that is changing is going to be the coordinate in which we're in. So that means that the angle theta needs to be the same. Let's label the second angle phi instead of theta. So for example, if we take tangent of theta, this would be equal to y over x. And if we take tangent of phi, this is going to be the same, y over x, because we're going to have opposite divided by adjacent categories. So since now we know that both of the angles are the same, we can proceed by finding the polar coordinate that, from its definition, is measured from the positive x-axis. Okay, so just a small review for radians. Remember that the units on each of the points are going to be 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and finally, if we do the full rotation, this is going to be equal to 2 pi. Okay, so there are going to be two ways to measure up this angle. The first one is going to be taking the angle of pi and subtracting pi over 8, because we know that the distance over here corresponds to pi. So if we subtract the small angle over here, the theta, then we're going to get the result. So this is going to be equal to 8/8 of pi minus pi over 8. This is going to be equal to 7 pi over 8. And this is going to be your polar angle directly. And the other option is going to be finding the angle from this point to this point. That is going to be the same as the angle over here. And since we know that from 0 to pi over 2, we're going to have a straight angle, what we know is that this angle is going to be equal to pi over 2 minus pi over 8, which is 3 pi over 8. So the second option would be adding pi over 8 plus 3 pi over 8 plus the same angle again, because that is going to be the same here, plus 3 pi over 8, which gives us 7 pi over 8. So in general, I prefer the first method because it is more straightforward, but whichever you prefer is good for you. Regardless, the polar angle for the minus x comma y coordinate is going to be equal to 7 pi over 8.